All right. Hey, I want to thank CMT Live and Cody Allen for having me, being able to get me in touch with all you guys. So, hey, I want to thank CMT Live and thank you, Cody Allen, for having me. We appreciate it. Paula from Antelope. What one event throughout your touring life would you consider life changing? Paula, there's really no one thing. There's just so many little things that change your life every day. As a touring musician, I'm always trying to get better at what I do, and one of the biggest things is seeing other acts that have been doing it for a long time. Watching their shows and understanding what makes a show great. So I've been learning from my peers to my heroes out on tour with folks like that, and learning every day from them. Stephanie from Fairchild. Do you enjoy touring, or would you rather be home with your friends and family? Well, Stephanie, obviously I enjoy touring. It's a dream come true. I couldn't ask for any more. But I do now have a family at home, and it used to not really matter to me whether I ever went home, but now having a family at home, it really does make me want to get home more. But this is what I do, so I really try my best to split the time up and get as much family time as I possibly can. Uh, but so there's really no rather. I'd love to be home with my family every day, um, but we gotta be out here living the dream. So Ashley from Omaha, Nebraska. If you could tour with anyone, who would it be? Well, anyone. Man, I'm a big fan of Garth Brooks, so if Garth ever calls Ashley, he'd be the guy that I'd want to go out with. Let's see here. Katie from Philadelphia. Katie from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Have you ever wanted to take back a career decision you made? Well, I try not to believe in regret too much. Um, there's always stuff that you wish you maybe had made a better decision, but it's all a learning experience, and you learn from your mistakes. So I don't regret them. I don't want to take them back. I think everything you do leads you somewhere else, and I like where I'm at right now. Jamie from Evansville, Indiana. When did you learn to play guitar? Jamie, I was 10 years old, and I asked my parents to get me a guitar, and they got me a little tiny child-sized guitar that I loved and I took very seriously, and I played constantly all the time. So I started out with a couple of chords when I was 10 years old. Letitia from Waynesville. When did you realize you wanted to be a country singer? Well, I guess I always wanted to sing and I always wanted to play music since I was a kid. But when I started going to some concerts, um, I went and saw Shenandoah one time, and then I went and saw Garth when I was a teenager, and those were huge moments for me. That really made me realize that this is what I wanted to do, and that this was my dream. Let's see. Robbie from Missoula, Montana. What's your favorite track you've ever written? Well, uh, 7 Days is one of my favorites. I really think it's a special song, and the the melody to the lyrics, I love it. And then there's one on my album called That Way Again that I really love, and it's a special thing to me too. Let's see here. Tracy from Wilkes Barre, Pennsylvania. Who are you closest friends with in the music biz? Um, well, one of my closest friends is Jared Neiman. He's a great friend of mine, and I have so much respect for him as a guy, and as an artist and as a writer. So tight with him, and good friends with Randy Hauser, and Luke Bryan, some of those guys. But Jared and I have been running together for a long time, so he's one of my best buds. Alex from Riverdale, Maryland. Alex from Riverdale, Maryland. Aside from singing, is there anything else you ever dreamed of? Well, I grew up wanting to play football and wanting to sing. So football was a big dream of mine, and I put my whole life into it. Through middle school and high school, and then into college for a couple of years. And Clemson football in particular was really where my dream was for football. And you know, uh, walked onto the team and got a starting position, and kind of felt like I reached my goal. You know, so I guess there's a dream right there. Elizabeth from Scottsdale. What does your song "Hard to Love" mean to you? Well, it means to me that I'm a lucky guy to have Sarah still sticking around, and because I am, I guess, hard to love. My buddies actually wrote that song, and um, shoot, I guess you are who you hang out with. So my buddies are all, I guess we're all dudes that are hard to love anyway. But we appreciate what we got, and so we don't mind admitting it. Jennifer from Los Angeles, California. Want to skip that one. Melissa from Richfield. What was your inspiration behind the song "That Way Again"? That Way Again, truthfully, that kind of felt like a one of those moments where you're writing a song, and sometimes inspiration comes from all kind of different things. And this in particular time, I was out writing some music with two good friends of mine, Billy Montana and John Stone, and we were out in the middle of nowhere, really in God's country, out in the mountains of Oregon, and the scenery, man, just inspired us to go somewhere really honest and really special. And the story, was kind of made up, but it was a story that was made up from us being guys that want to appreciate what we got and who we have, and realizing that being a guy, sometimes we can overlook things that our loved ones do for us, and be absent-minded, and we don't need to do that. We need to try to appreciate what we got. Let's see here. Bethany from Tulsa, Oklahoma. What do you tell people who try and compare you to other country stars? Well, it's an honor to be compared to anybody. If they're a country star, they've probably worked their butts off, and they've earned it. So it's an honor, but also, obviously, I want to be, who I am, and I always will be. So I'll take it as a compliment, and just keep doing what I do. Christina from Orlando, Florida. What are some of your musical guilty pleasures? Well, I don't know if they're guilty pleasures, but one thing is I love all kind of music. I was raised on country music, but I love all kind of music, and whether it be Guns N' Roses or Black Crowes or John Mayer, some of that stuff, and heck, even Eminem. He's so talented, but uh, I wouldn't call them guilty pleasures, but it's definitely stuff that I love, other than just country music. Carol from Canton, Massachusetts. Do you still bleed orange? Go Clemson. Yeah, I do. I played football there for a year and a half, and I spent 4 years of my life there, and spent my whole life wanting to go there. And now, in fact, I just wrote a new song um, for the football team to run out to on game days, and they're going to start it this second weekend of this season, and it's called Orange Empire. So go check it out. It's on iTunes. Monica from Columbus, Georgia. Which song of yours do you relate to the most? Hmm, well, it's kind of funny you say that, but "Hard to Love" is pretty relatable for me these days. Um, There's a song on my album called One More Day that's directly from my heart to my little boy and to Sarah. So, um, the last song on my new album is probably the most related for me. Let's see here. Ashley from Canada. Do you pick out what you wear at your concerts, or does someone hand you your clothes? I definitely don't have somebody handing me my clothes. Um, I just grab a shirt and a pair of jeans and boots and hit the stage. But yeah, I pick out what I wear. Danielle from Brazil. Do you ever get nervous before a performance? Um, you know, I get excited, especially when I'm out on the road and with the band and we have things kind of in order and ready to rock. But I tell you what, every time I get to play the Grand Ole Opry, every time I get nervous. That's one time I definitely get nervous no matter what. I always get nervous for that. And I guess there's just something special about that place. Paul from Grand Island. My first question is, where do you find your inspiration to write music? And my second question is, when will you be coming to Nebraska? Well, I find inspiration to write music in all kind of places, whether it be um, a feeling I'm having, or a line I heard, or some music, or even just kind of where I'm hanging out at. Sometimes the inspiration comes from a million different places. And I'm not sure when we're coming to Nebraska, but I'll find out for you. Let's see here. Stanley from Eagleville, Tennessee. Where were you when you first heard yourself on the radio? Stanley, I was in a hot tub at about midnight one night, I think. First time I heard my first single on the radio, it was called "She Ain't Right," and we were just hanging out in the hot tub and had a little radio out there, and that's where I heard myself the first time. It was pretty cool. Marilyn from Boston. What is your pet peeve, or one of them? Well, one of them is driving in the left hand lane when you're going slower than everybody else. I know it's kind of a normal one, but it's true. God, I get on my nerves. Get out of the way. Lynette from Westminster. What do you recommend for vocal warm ups? Well, I don't do a lot of that. I should. It's great for you. But I've had one of my favorite singers and background singers in the world give me some advice on that. And his name is Perry Coleman, and he is a bad to the bone guy. He can sing. Anyway, he told me that even for like your higher register stuff, if you just really stretch real low and try to hit some of the lowest notes you can for a while, hum them or sing them, it actually stretches your voice and warms it up, even for the high stuff. John from Atlanta. What advice can you give to young teens who want to become country singers? Um, you know, truthfully, my advice would be, to get your degrees and get your school in, and then you got to be where the music is. Nashville is the place to be, and it's where all the writers are, and the producers, and the artists, and really the whole family. Um, and you can do it. You really can. You just got to be where it's at and invest your life in it. Let's see here. Christy from Texas. Would you ever do a tour with a non-country artist? Yeah, I definitely would. I'm a fan of all kind of music and a fan of, you know, of being on the road and trying new stuff. So definitely. So if and when that comes along, I definitely want to do that. Deborah from Hendersonville. Or yeah, I think that's right. In one word, describe your life. I would have to say blessed. I'm a lucky guy, and I'm doing exactly what I want to do, and I'm having a blast doing it. So I'm definitely blessed. Um, Thank you for that. Jericho from Dallas. When did you start liking country music, and what songwriter inspired you to want to write country music? Well, there was a lot of songwriters that wrote a lot of the songs that I grew up listening to that I didn't really know um, who they were. I was a kid and I just thought the artists singing them were the writers. I know that influenced me a lot and inspired me to want to write. But I guess Garth Brooks is a great writer actually, and his music was some of the first stuff that I connected with really personally and wanted to kind of be like and try to write songs like so Garth Brooks was a big inspiration for me as a songwriter. Let's see, Stacy from Wisconsin. Are there any songs that shows you wish you didn't have to perform? No, I don't have to perform any of them, but uh, um, you know, I'm so appreciative of what I have, and every song that I've released or every song that I that I play at shows are for a reason, and I appreciate them, because they got me to where I'm at, and no, I don't wish I didn't have to sing any songs. Lauren from San Leonardo. If you had to choose an actor to play yourself in a movie, who would it be? That's hard. You know, maybe Russell Crowe or something. I like him, man. I think he's cool. What inspires? Let's see here. Sherry from Vidro, Vidro, who is hard to love about. Well, I didn't write the song. I was out with five of my good friends, my songwriter friends, and they're friends of mine as well. So they know me well, and they're also a lot like me. So I think the song "Hard to Love" is definitely about me personally, and probably about those guys because we're kind of all the same dude. Greg from New Jersey. Uh, what were you hoping to capture when you wrote the song "Beautiful Every Time"? Uh, I wrote that song with two good friends of mine, Lance Miller and Rob Hatch, and I was just trying to capture actually the story that Rob Hatch told me. He said, "Man, I was at the beach the other day and on a wedding," and he said, "I grew up at the beach, so I kind of sometimes you take that for granted, when you grow up around something like that." He said, "But I haven't been there in a long time, and so I walked out over the hill, and as soon as I saw the ocean, I thought, wow, that never gets old. That's it's beautiful every time." And so he told me that story, and we actually tried to write the song in some other way to make it cool or whatever, but then we just realized that his story is exactly how that song needed to be written. So it's a very true story. Amy from Baltimore. How old were you when you moved out? Well, I moved out to go to college, and I was at Clemson for 4 years, and then I basically went to Nashville after that. So I guess I really kind of moved out when I was 17. Justine from Chico, California. What has been your most memorable moment in your career so far? Uh, there's so many that I'm so thankful for. A couple of them would be one singing at the Grand Ole Opry. In fact, the first time I sang there, I sang "More Than a Memory." I had just written it, and got a standing ovation in the middle of the song. I wasn't done with the song yet, and they stood up and clapped, and I was pretty floored by that. That was a special, special moment. Kelly from Las Vegas. How did you tell your parents you wanted to pursue a music career, and how did they react? Um, well, I just called up Daddy, and I was in Clemson, and I had about a year to go to get my degree, and I called Daddy up and said, "Daddy, I visited Nashville, and I think this is where I need to be." Um, and at first he was a little shocked, but but they supported me from day one, and because they knew they'd seen me my whole life since I was 10 years old, seriously writing songs and seriously singing and playing guitar, and it was all I ever really loved, besides football a little bit, but um, they supported me. Ari from Tallahassee, Florida. How did you get discovered? Well, uh, I visited Nashville for spring break and met some people, sang some songs, and they said I needed to come back and spend time there and um, you know devote myself uh, and that's what I had to do. And but I got to meet them. I was pretty lucky. I got to meet some of the people that I worked with eventually. The first time I visited Nashville, but um, the the reason why things are happening now is because I've moved there and I put my whole life into it. Terry from Santan Valley, Arizona. Who made the biggest impact musically in your life? Well, there's a lot of artists and things like that that really impacted me, but truthfully, my family, my mother and her sisters were my roots of singing and music and their passion for it uh, really was the biggest impact on me. Was their spirit and their soul and their passion for singing and music and gospel music at that. It was huge. My mother is definitely the biggest influence on me. Alaina from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Have you ever gotten sick before a show? What do you do? Do you sing anyways? Yeah, I have. One show in particular, I it was when I was kind of in the bar scene, and we had to play like a long set, like 4 hours, and usually you would take a break in between there. Well, I got really sick that day. I think it was food poisoning or something like that, and I literally was throwing up and just could not move. I was laying on the ground and I felt like I was going to die. But when showtime came, you know, you just got to hop up, get up there, push through it. And then I would take a break, run around the back and outside and get sick. And it was miserable. But I pushed through. But, you know, I don't expect, everybody to do that. But that's what I did. And I just couldn't let those folks down out there. They were ready to rock. So we rocked. Ashlyn from Oklahoma. What do you like to do on your time off? Um, Nothing. I don't have much time off these days, but if I do get some, I definitely just want to like hang out with my family and just sit on my couch. So it's something I never get to do. So, uh, but if there are activities, it's hunt and fish. That's what I grew up doing and what relaxes me. Joy from Montana. What other country singers are you big fans of? I'm a big fan of a lot. You know, if it's somebody who's inspiring to me, Garth Brooks, Alabama, Vince Gill, big influences on me. Hank Jr. But these days, right now, I'm a big fan of Jared Neiman and Randy Houser and Jamie Johnson and you know a lot of folks are just so great. But those are some good buddies of mine, and I got a lot of respect for those guys. Tony from Utah, what was your process in writing More Than a Memory? Um, well, that's a long process. That song in particular, I woke up in the middle of the night thinking about my ex-girlfriend that I couldn't get over for like 10 years, and started writing down emotions and kind of came across that idea by about to fall asleep, writing her kind of a letter, um, and was saying to myself, what what are you doing? You're never going to give her this letter. She's just a memory. And then I looked at the piece of paper and the pencil and said, well, you're up at 2 or 3 in the morning writing her a letter. She's obviously still a part of, tangible part of your life, so she's got to be more than a memory. So um, that's where the song kind of spawned from, and then I went and met up with my buddy Kyle Jacobs, and we talked about it, and then invited our other friend Billy Montana, and we all finished writing the song together. Lynn from Austin, Texas. How many talent shows did you win in high school? Well, I entered into the talent show contest in the 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, and I won it all 3 years. Um, I was I was performing some songs that I'd written every year, so I thought it was pretty cool. And it was kind of the beginnings of my performing at all, really, and so that kind of got me hooked. Leah from South Dakota. Do you prefer performing live or studio work? Um, well, I love them both. They're two separate animals, though. They really are. Live is just off the cuff, and you don't get second chances. In studio work, you can take your time and come up with different ideas and really try to create something special. They're two different things. I love them both. They're both a part of what I do, so it's hard to say which one I like more. Brad from Missouri, what was your favorite part about the Willie Nelson Throwdown tour? My favorite part about that was the fact that Willie was out there and I got to tour with him. And my buddies Randy Hauser and Jamie Johnson. It was such an honor to be out there with Willie, and then such a good time to be out there with my friends. You can't beat that. It might be, it's definitely my favorite thing I've done in this business. Was that tour last year. Tori from Vermont. Do you prefer playing mellow, acoustic, or hard rockin' electric guitar? Well, I love them both. I grew up more on acoustic, and that intimacy and that moment of just you and a guitar. But man, being on the road for 7 years with my band, and they rock so hard, and we have such a good time that I enjoy playing the electric, and I enjoy rocking and getting down hard with those guys. Nikki from Florida. What do you do when you're not performing or writing music? Well, let's skip that one. I already answered that question. Justina from California. If you were stranded on a desert island with only one food for the rest of your life, what would it be? I don't know. Maybe pizza, because it's got all your food groups: meat, cheese, vegetables. Pizza. You can't beat that. Brian from Pennsylvania. Uh, what was the story with your tour bus catching fire? Was it scary? We pulled up to Phoenix, Arizona. Pulled up to Toby Keith's Bar and Grill, and I was asleep. Um, I was sleeping in the bus, and my bass player ran on the bus and said, "Get up, get out! Bus is on fire." I, I was like, "You're kidding, you're joking, leave me alone." And sure enough, he was right. We got up, and it was on fire, 30-foot flames in the air. Um, it was not that scary. I just got up and got off the bus, but it's scary to think of what could happen because if there was nobody there to tell me to wake up, those fumes are toxic, and um, it could have been a lot worse. What made you, Dana from Arizona? What made you decide to propose on that day, and where did you do it? I proposed on January 2nd because I told Sarah, don't ever expect me to ask you for like a Christmas present or a New Year's Eve thing or some time like that because I'm never gonna ask you when you expect it. So she was very least expecting it then, and so the day after New Year's, I was down in Key West, and I just couldn't wait another minute.